What is up, guys? Frosty 0232 here again for another Frosty Features. Today we are going over our second member of the War Dogs team coming to Marvel Strike Force. We are going to talk about Nakia. For those of you who have not seen Frosty Features before, Frosty Features is a comic book background on the toons you use in Marvel Strike Force. Typically we stick to the Earth 616 storyline. And that's what we're going to be looking at today with Nakia. So, buckle in and let's roll. I was trying to find a nice full body picture of Nakia, and I was having a lot of trouble finding one. Here it is. This is the best one I found. She's a lot more badass, than she looks in this picture. Name, really quick, I'm going to say a lot of things wrong as far as pronunciations go. I hope you all bear with me. Nakia Shaoku. Yep. That's right. First appearance, Black Panther Volume 3, number 1 in 1998. The third iteration of a Black Panther storyline. We first see Nakia starting in 1998. Compared to the other Black Panther characters that we see in Marvel Strike Force, she has not been around that long. Powers and abilities, high training levels, and actually she gets super soldier powers. We'll talk about that after a little while, but actually as she stands currently in the Marvel 616 canon, she can go toe-to-toe with a Black Panther type and hold her own. Aliases, Malice. So, current alias in the 616 is Malice. So, Marvel has this really bad habit of creating supervillains, superheroes that have the same names. So actually Nakia is a supervillain in the in 616 canon, and she goes by Malice. She is the second Malice of her lineage, but there is also an X-Men villain named Malice who is different. So there's at least 3 different Malices, if not more. Affiliations, Dora Milaje. So the Dora Milaje, they are depicted in the Black Panther MCU movies. They are all over the place. They are essentially, well, let me double check that. I'll say it here in a minute. Background, Wakandan, and she's from the Quinoma Valley. The Quinoma Valley being one, I believe, of the River tribe. So there's 5 tribes in Wakanda. So they have different ways to represent. The way I best represent them in my head are their animals, because they all have an animal affiliated with them. So there's the Panther tribe, there's a gorilla tribe, a crocodile tribe, a lion tribe, and then the border tribe. I don't think they officially have an animal, but I associate them with the rhinos because of Black Panther movie. So there's that. So she'd be River, which would be crocodile. Yeah, so, yeah, born and raised Wakandan. Dora Milaje, which translates as the Adored Ones. These are women that are groomed from a young age to become essentially wives of the Black Panther, of the King of Wakanda. They are also the highest trained warriors in Wakanda. They are quite... They are the King's Royal Bodyguard. They are the most badass. My favorite female character, I don't know if it's in all of Marvel, but in the Black Panther stories, is Okoye, who really is shown off in a lot of the Black Panther affiliated Marvel Cinematic Universe things. Nakia is shown off a little bit, but she kind of gets pulled away, which actually is sort of appropriate because in the comics, she appears and then she goes away for years, and then she appears and she goes away, and she appears and she goes away. So it makes sense. Now, I will say a big thing we need to recognize. So as I said, she is just kind of a super villain in the Marvel comics. Her story is so different in the comics than it is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's crazy. Absolutely different. She's a little crazy. So, to top this all off, she has this thing where she is just absolutely and utterly obsessed with T'Challa. So, as the Dora Milaje, she is really close to T'Challa. She does some really interesting stuff to get his attention. We'll talk about that here in a bit. Relationships. She doesn't have any outward and known relationships, but her main thing is that she essentially wants to be T'Challa's girlfriend, his wife, whatever. But in the Black Panther movie, it is explored that they are dating. And there's some other things, but in the comics, they never actually date. there is a thing that we'll bring up where there is sort of a mutual love thing there, but they are not actually affiliated. She's just really freaking nuts. Okay, so exiled from notable events, exiled from Wakanda. So what I'm going to say about, let me back up on the crazy thing, because I wanted to double check that I didn't have something ahead that would stop the crazy thing. So she's so crazy. Here's the story. She's so crazy that she was essentially like watching T'Challa and his girlfriend when they were like young. They're like teens. And she got so jealous that she climbed up on top of a cliff and jumped off just so that T'Challa would have to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. She jumped into like a pool and pretty much drowned just to get mouth-to-mouth resuscitation from T'Challa. Just to kind of prove the thing. So T'Challa has a longtime girlfriend named Monica Lynn is directly related. Monica Lynn, so that's the girlfriend that she jumps off the cliff and tries to get attention from T'Challa. And then later, there is a big thing where Monica Lynn is kidnapped, and the Dora Milaje and the Black Panther go to try to save her. And after saving her, sorry, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It's like Akibe. Once again, I have the worst, absolutely the worst pronunciation skills. But, yeah, so anyway, this guy, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Akibe, he steals Monica Lynn. Dora Milaje, Black Panther, they go to rescue her. Success. Woohoo. Superheroes win. And then in the jet on the way back, the Black Panther more or less has his back turned, and Monica Lynn and Nakia get in this really big argument about Monica Lynn essentially is like, your love for T'Challa is weird, and the way you go about it is weird, and I don't appreciate it. And Nakia is like, I don't think you should be talking to me that way. So she picks up Monica Lynn and throws her out of the jet, right? So, if it wasn't straight up comic books, everyone would die from that. But it's the comic books. And there's this really fun thing in the Black Panther comics that when somebody gets discarded, when somebody gets injured and left in the jungle. So in this situation, she gets thrown out of the jet into the jungle and is presumed dead. If they're presumed dead in the jungle, Killmonger will find them and bring them back to life. So that's actually what happens with Monica Lynn. So she gets saved by Killmonger, but you don't see that right away. But what does happen right away is Black Panther, with his back turned, turns around. Oh no, what are you gonna do now? And Nakia is like, oh hey, yes, somebody else killed her, it wasn't me. And Black Panther was like, nah, you did it. You're just jealous and you're awful. I'm stripping you of all of your rights as Dora Milaje. I'm stripping your rights as a Wakandan. You are abandoned. You are banned. I can't believe you killed my girlfriend. What the F? And so she gets disgraced and exiled. And in her exiled, she actually gets picked up by that same Akibe guy. She gets picked up by the same Akibe guy. And she gets brutally tortured and this is over a long period of time. She disappears for a long time, and then it turns out she was picked up by the same Akibe guy they just got Monica Lynn from. She gets tortured and left in the jungle to die. So naturally, Killmonger shows up and grabs her, which brings us to the next part. She becomes the second Malice. So the first Malice was essentially a goon, a minion of Killmonger, who started fighting, just kind of did Killmonger's bidding. Killmonger, essentially, he poaches people, and this is different than the Killmonger that we see in the MCU, but not as much as you would think, but kind of, there's some similarities we could talk about later. But ultimately, Killmonger, he kind of, so due to, check out Frosty Features Black Panther 1 million BC, in the comics, vibranium has a high level of radiation. We talked about that in that Frosty Features. That's why I just kind of shouted it out. Due to the high levels of radiation from vibranium, Wakanda has a higher rate of mutants. Killmonger will poach mutants to kind of make an army, make minions for himself, whatever. So ultimately, he picks out the outliers in Wakanda and uses them. So in this situation where he brings her back to life, he's got a little bit of shaman magic kind of stuff with him. So he brings her back to life, and she's like, well, now that I'm alive, my entire purpose of living, now that I'm alive again, my entire purpose of living is being like, yo, everything you love, Black Panther, it could only be me, so I'm going to kill it all. So she starts going around and she starts assassinating people that Black Panther adores or loves or whatever. One of the most notable ones being Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo, who is also in Marvel Strike Force. Check out Frosty Features Dr. Voodoo. So he kills her and leaves behind a calling card of the name Malice, who Black Panther thinks, so one of the predecessors to her, Killmonger had another sidekick named Malice who disappeared for a long time, and so Black Panther automatically thought it was her, but eventually found out that it was in fact Nakia, and he felt extra betrayed because of her just, straight up acing his friends. Eventually, so after he finds out it's Nakia, then it's, they're Wakandan, so they can track people down. And once he finds out it's Nakia, he tracks her down, and they're on a train, and he gets her to admit that she loves him, and that's why she's doing all this stuff. And he's like, I love you too. And then she knocks him off the train and disappears for a very long time. So that's Malice. She's recently reappeared in the comics, but you have to check those out to hear that out, right? So next, power level. Power scaling is not a thing in Marvel Strike Force, but it is a thing over here on Frosty's channel. So the way this works, multiversal. This is a character that has so much power that in reality, as we know it, and as you know it, as they know it, you can put an end to your universe, and all other universes at the same time, all at once. In Universal, you can end your universe, probably jump over to another universe and take it out there. Cosmic, you are a threat on a planetary level. You can take out planetary bodies with enough effort. You can do maybe solar systems or small galaxies, etc. Nuclear, you have the power equivalent to a nuclear bomb. You can take out small cities, and with enough well-placed charges, you could probably take out a planet. Super Soldier. Super Soldier means that you are past the peak of human ability. You are the step after the peak of human abilities. This is your Captain America's. This is your Spider-Man's. People that could, lift cars and such. City level. You are a highly trained individual. This is where you might find your Frank Castles, your Punisher, or somebody like Sam Wilson. Or Black Widow, which granted Black Widow is also, there's an argument there, there's some super soldier stuff, but anyway. And then there's Greg. Greg is the undead Asgardian that Hela spawns in Marvel Strike Force, who was much weaker when I started doing Frosty features, but now is kind of a nuisance. But even so, for the sake of argument, Greg is a typical old human level, and if I had a water bottle with a hole poked in top and a lot of anger and aggression, I could theoretically take out Greg for the sake of argument. So in this instance, Nakia Malice, if you will, is at the level of the super soldier. When Killmonger finds her in the forest, he brings her back to the Shrine of Resurrection, and she undergoes a very similar treatment as the heart-shaped herb treatment, and she comes back with super strength, super speed, resilience, etc. She might not quite be on par with Black Panther. She can hold her own, but I don't think she's perfectly matched with him, but she's close. So she is the absolute lowest end of super soldier classification that I believe that can happen. So yeah, that is Frosty Features Nakia. I know it's there's a lot less on Nakia. She isn't as prevalent in the comics as she could be, and also once again, I stick to the 616 because that is the main canon storyline. She does have other iterations in different universes, but that is what it is. So let me know in the comments if there was something that I just got wrong, or something that you thought I missed or you would have liked to see. I'd love to hear you, or just let me know what you think. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything but a couple of clicks, y'all. Also, as a reminder, I stream on Twitch starting at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time at the link above, and I would love to see you there. Give me a follow. Also just costs you a couple clicks. Yeah, so that was Frosty Features Nakia. Thank you all so much, and I hope you all have a fantastic week, and most importantly, y'all, stay cool.